That's honestly probably the scariest part about going through a TE is wondering like, when will this stop and how much will I lose? Good morning, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you my Telogen Effluvium story and 10 things that I did, 10 tips or things that I did to overcome having telogen effluvium, things that I feel helped enhance my hair health and the growth of my hair, and also just ways to get over it in general, because mentally it's really difficult to go through hair loss such as a telogen effluvium. So if you guys are new to my channel, I don't actually sit down in front of the camera and talk. I will insert some photos of my hair and my hair loss as the time has gone by, but I still hope that the tips that I share in this video will be helpful for you guys. If you're new here, I would love if you would consider subscribing. On this channel, I usually talk a lot about self-care, home decor, a little bit of fashion, decluttering, minimalism, perfume, makeup, whatever really sparks joy in me and brings me joy and happiness, I share with my viewers. So if you would like to subscribe, that would be great. And if not, I hope that the tips in this video are helpful. So I was sharing over on my Instagram the fact that I was going through a telogen effluvium, and I was sharing a little bit of the progress and the time that it started and the time that it stopped. And I did have a lot of people over there write me and ask me what specific products I was using, how I dealt with it, and just other little questions. And I thought, why not make a video about this? I know that this has been a huge issue for people, especially since the whole pandemic hit a couple of years ago. So first of all, if you don't know what a telogen effluvium is, essentially it is diffuse, widespread hair loss that comes on as a result of some sort of physical or mental trigger. This can be anything from having a high fever, to having surgery, to childbirth, to a divorce, to moving countries, to losing a job. It can be a significant illness, it can be surgery. Anything that is a significant physical or mental stressor on your body can trigger a telogen effluvium. And what happens is essentially you have hairs that are in different phases of their growing cycle, and some of them are in their resting phase, some of them are in the growing phase. And when you go through one of these stressful events, up to 70% of your hairs can be pushed into that resting phase, and then like clockwork, a few months later, they will start to shed and come out. So a lot of people get confused. They think that they should be losing hair during the stressful event, but actually it happens a few months later, usually about 3 or 4 months later after that stressful event has ceased. You will start losing hair, and it won't really make a lot of sense because you might be in a better part of your life, or you might be feeling really healthy, and all of a sudden you start losing your hair. So it can be very difficult. With this, I want to say a quick disclaimer as well. I am in no way a hair specialist. I'm not a dermatologist. I'm not a physician. You should always take any concerns with your health, with hair loss, with skin and scalp and hair concerns to your doctor, to a dermatologist, and be assessed properly by your healthcare provider. So please don't take today's video as me telling you what you should do. This is just my experience and me sharing with you guys what has helped me. So what happened with me and what triggered my telogen effluvium is, first of all, by the way, this was my third time going through a telogen effluvium, so I do feel like I have a little bit of experience that I can pass forward to people. I feel like I know a thing or two about what to look for, how to recognize it, how to get through it, how to overcome it, and how long approximately it takes to overcome a telogen effluvium. So what happened for me this time having a telogen effluvium was I had COVID over Christmas time. So it was December 25th, actually, literally Christmas Day of 2022, I started getting sick, and I was very, very sick for about 10 or 14 days. I was extremely sick. And let me tell you guys, I had never been so sick in my life. I wasn't hospitalized. I never ended up having to go to the hospital or go on oxygen or anything like that, but I was very, very sick. High fever, lost a lot of weight, couldn't get out of bed, extremely weak. Definitely the sickest I've ever been from any virus in my life. And I kind of knew it would happen, and sure enough, about 3 months later in March, I started shedding hair. And I shed hair, copious amounts of hair throughout March and April, the entire 2 months of March and April. The floor looked like we had a dog, and the dog had very long hair, and there was just hair all over the floor in the shower. Every time I would wash my hair, brush my hair, style my hair, especially if it was after shampooing, I was just petrified to brush it. I was petrified to do anything to it because of the amount of hair I was losing every time I would do anything to my hair. So I knew I was going through a telogen effluvium, and the timeline just matched up perfectly with after having COVID. And because I've been through this before, I knew that that was what was going on. I didn't go to see a physician or anything about it because I already kind of knew what was going on, and I knew that it was temporary. So now it is July, and my hair shedding is back to normal. So I'm losing now approximately, if I took the hair that I lost when I washed my hair and brushed my hair and I balled it up into, you know how we ball up our hair in our palm of our hand to see how much it is, I would say it would be about like quarter, maybe a nickel to a quarter size or dollar size amount. And it's like a very loose bundle of hair. So it's now like a normal amount of hair that I shed when I wash my hair. Whereas when I was in the height of the telogen effluvium, I would lose thick, long, copious strands, like multiple strands at once, tons of it. And it would fill up my entire hand from the beginning of my hand almost until the end of my fingertips. But yeah, so I know now that I'm back to normal. My hair is shedding at a normal amount, and I do have a lot of regrowth and baby hairs, and I can tell that my ponytail is starting to feel a little thicker. So the very first tip that I have to get over a telogen effluvium is to remind yourself and know that it is temporary. You have to remind yourself that this is not going to last forever. The wonderful thing about telogen effluvium is it does reverse itself as long as you get rid of whatever trigger is causing it. Obviously, if you're going through multiple stressful events in your life, like you have a divorce, and then you move, and then you lose your job, and then you get sick, and then you go for surgery, and then you go on some hormonal birth control or quit hormonal birth control. All of these things can repetitively cause you to have chronic hair loss, chronic telogen effluvium. Again, I'm not an expert. This is just what I know from researching and from reading about it. But if you get rid of the triggers that have started this telogen effluvium, it will reverse and it will go back to normal. So I knew that I couldn't do anything to stop the hair shedding or to hasten the speed at which it began regrowing, but I knew that I could control how healthy I kept my hair and my scalp and the nutrition that I was taking in to support the health of my new hair that would replace what was lost. So I wanted to support the other hair that I had that wasn't falling out, and I wanted to grow it as quickly and healthfully as possible. So I immediately started taking measures to do that, partly because I knew I'd thank myself later when it did grow back and I had a healthy, thick head of hair, but also because it was for my sanity to know that even though I couldn't stop or slow down what was going on and I couldn't prevent the telogen effluvium from taking its course, I knew that I could promote a healthy scalp and healthy hair going forward. So it was partly just so that I could feel like I had some control over the situation, which is really, really important. So remind yourself that it's temporary and know that you can't control the hair that's going to fall out. If it's going to fall out, if that hair is in a resting phase, it is going to fall out. There's not much you can do about it, but you can support the health of your body in general and your nutrition and your scalp, and you can help support healthy hair growth going forward. So number 2 is I picked up some great shampoos and conditioners. So this is kind of going along with supporting my general hair and scalp health in general. But what I did was I made sure that the shampoo and conditioner I was using was pH balanced and was going to support the health of my scalp. So this is going to be different for everybody. If you've got an oily scalp, then you might need something that's more for people with an oily scalp. For me, I have very dry skin to begin with. I also live in Canada and my climate around me is quite dry. So I needed a hydrating, moisturizing shampoo and conditioner, something that would make my scalp feel clean and fresh, but without drying it out. But just as a side note, no shampoo or conditioner will stop your TE or will prevent those hairs that are in the resting cycle from falling out. There's nothing you can do about that. But like I said, just to choose a shampoo and conditioner that felt good to me, that felt like when I used it, my scalp felt healthy, my hair felt shiny and soft and moisturized, that was important to me. So I ended up sticking with the L'Oreal Everpure shampoo and conditioner. This is supposed to be a dupe of a higher end like acid bonding shampoo and conditioner from Redken, I believe, and it just got really good reviews. So I tried that and I really, really enjoyed it. And I also used the Lucita shampoo and conditioner that I'll show you guys a picture of, but I have used Lucita in the past and I have had good results with it. It's a really nice quality, pH balanced, salon quality shampoo and conditioner, and you can often get it for a really good discount at places like Winners or HomeSense. So because I knew that this worked for me, I just kind of alternated between these two shampoos and conditioners, and they just made my hair and scalp feel clean, moisturized, not stripped. I do recommend though going with a shampoo and conditioner that has a lot of slip to it. Like you don't want something that is going to cause you to do a lot of tugging and have friction, because all that's going to happen is you're going to end up pulling out more hairs with each wash than you normally would if your shampoo and conditioner wasn't slippery, if that makes sense. So you want something that's going to be smooth and silky and have a good slip to it. Something that goes along with that is protective hairstyles. So you'll hear people talk about protective hairstyles when they're trying to increase the health of their hair and prevent dryness and breakage and grow their hair out. People will do like braids and stuff like that. I'm not much of a braid person, but basically what I tried to do was I tried to just style it a little bit less, and I tried to pull it back into a ponytail or a bun a little bit less. I didn't want anything that was going to be putting pressure or stress on the hair strands because I was already shedding hair at a pretty fast pace, and I didn't want to be putting undue stress on my hair and losing more than was necessary on any given day because it was already falling out so quickly, and I just didn't want it to be super noticeable. I would have preferred it to be slow and gradual so I could kind of get used to it. So I kind of just tried to leave my hair alone, and this is what I've done in the past. Every time I've ever gone through a TE, I kind of just tried to leave it alone. I would brush it and I would do normal things to it. I would even use a hair straightener here and there or a curling iron here or there, but not every single day. And I wouldn't be blow drying my hair and brushing my hair vigorously or anything like that on a regular basis. I don't usually do that anyway, but I really tried to avoid it during this time. So I often just left my hair down. I would let it air dry a lot. I made sure to use silk pillowcases, which is actually tip number 8, but I'm going to combine it into this tip here. Those silk pillowcases, just tried to be really, really gentle on my hair. I'm sure you guys have heard about using silk or satin pillowcases. They're just really nice and slippery. They help prevent tugging and pulling. They help prevent frizziness, and you will notice less hair fallout in the morning if you're using a silk or satin pillowcase versus a cotton pillowcase. So that was about it. I pretty much just tried to leave it alone as much as possible. I didn't change the frequency with which I shampooed or conditioned. People will say, or they'll think that if you shampoo your hair less often, you'll lose less hair. That's not the case. If you only wash your hair once a week, you're just going to lose all the hair you would have lost with your previous washings on that one wash day. If you wash it every single day, you're going to lose a little bit every single time you wash it. That's just how it is. The act of washing our hair sort of dislodges those little hair follicles that were already going to come out, and they just come out with the shampooing. That's just how it is. But I didn't change the frequency that I washed my hair because there was really no point to it. I knew that the hair was going to come out no matter what. And all I wanted to do was support my scalp health. So I just kept shampooing it at the normal rate that I would shampoo my hair, which was once every 3 or 4 days. Another thing that I did, even though I was tempted to do it, another thing that I did was I avoided hair extensions. So this is something I actually did in the past. The very first time I ever went through a telogen effluvium that I can remember, I actually got hair extensions because I wanted to make my hair feel thicker and be longer. And this was actually a bad idea because extensions are not great for people who have fine hair to begin with, and I have fine hair. They can put undue stress on your hair strands, and they can also put stress on your scalp, and it takes a little bit more work to style your hair. You have to brush a little bit more differently. You have to wash differently. When you blow dry it, it just overall puts more tension on the hair strands and on the scalp. So I knew that having extensions might feel like a short-term solution. It might be like a Bandaid solution where I'd think, oh, I have thick, beautiful, long hair. Like, it looks so nice. But I knew that in the end, it would not be a good idea. And when I did do this in the past, all it did was actually make my hair feel like it was actually getting thinner. And it just caused a lot of undue strain and pressure on those hair strands and on my scalp. And I just avoided putting extensions in. I just decided I wanted to support what I had, and I wanted to enjoy what I had while I went through this process, knowing that eventually it would reverse and eventually I would have a nice, thick, full head of hair again. So that would be a tip. I would say try to avoid going and getting tape-ins or weaves or definitely clip-ins, anything that is going to put undue strain and tension and pressure on your scalp and on your hair. Okay, so now into the stuff that I think most people came here for, which is like, did you use any supplements or anything like that? So what I did was I really just honed in on my nutrition. So any area that I thought that I might potentially be deficient in, I worked on those areas and started taking supplements or changed my diet a little bit to make sure that I was really getting enough nutrition-wise. So the thing to remember is that if you're not actually deficient in anything, taking more of something is not going to enhance your hair growth. For example, biotin, a lot of people talk about biotin being something great if you're trying to grow your hair. However, unless you're actually deficient in biotin, taking biotin is not going to help. So it's a really good idea to actually see your doctor, get some blood work done, see if there is anything that you actually are literally deficient in so that you know what you should be taking. There's lots of vitamins and minerals that actually can become toxic if you take too many of them, especially things like your fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, you can actually consume too many of those fat-soluble vitamins because they get stored in the adipose tissue of your body. So you don't want to just go crazy taking tons of supplements. This is really, really important because, like I said, I'm a nurse. I kind of have a little bit of knowledge about these things. And also because I haven't really changed my diet much at all in the last 3 to 4 years. And the last time I had blood work done, which was the first time I went through a telogen effluvium, I was borderline low in a couple things. I was still in normal ranges, but I was a little bit on the low end of iron, a little bit on the lower end of vitamin D. And I just really wanted to make sure that I was kind of capping everything off, just topping everything off. So I did start taking iron a couple of times a week. I didn't want to go overboard, but I did start taking an iron supplement a couple days out of the week. I also increased my vitamin D intake. I did take a little bit more vitamin D just to make sure I was getting enough. I took a multivitamin, which is a pretty basic standard vitamin that is going to have a lot of water soluble. So even if it was more than I needed, I would just pee it out anyway. I wasn't worried about getting too many of those water soluble vitamins. I also started taking coenzyme Q10, not for my hair growth, just for general antioxidant protection in general. I knew it would be good for my skin, hair, heart, just in general, my general health. So I started taking coenzyme Q10. Zinc, I started taking a zinc supplement because zinc is a really good anti-inflammatory and it's also really good for immune support. And being that I work shift work and it seems like I'm always coming in contact with some sort of virus and I'm always battling some sort of a cold or something because night shifts are so hard on my body, I knew that just supporting my immune system in general with enough vitamin C, with zinc, with all of these things would be just beneficial in general, and it couldn't hurt. The next thing that this kind of led me into is I just tried to enjoy what I had. So I tried to live life as though it was completely normal, even though, yes, I was losing hair when I was brushing, when I was styling. It was kind of traumatic every time I would wash it and I would see all this hair coming out. It was very traumatic for me, but overall I tried to just enjoy what I had. I still put it up in a cute ponytail to go to the gym. I still curled it here and there. I still tried to look cute. I still styled it. I still tried to live life just normally as if nothing was going on, because if you stress about it constantly and you keep focusing on how your hair looks bad or feels bad and you just don't feel good about yourself, that's only going to make the situation feel worse. So I just tried to enjoy what I had. I still styled it. I still did my makeup. I still dressed up. I still went out. I still put it back and went to the gym. I tried to live as normally as I could and tried to ignore the fact that my ponytail was feeling thinner and that my curls overall were not as thick as what they were before. So yeah, just trying to enjoy what you have and live a normal life while you're getting over it is probably one of the best things you can do, because while you're focusing on normal life and on other things, all of a sudden one day you'll wake up and it'll be done. But it's just a lot less stressful to not be focusing on how horrible your hair looks and feels in the meantime. So try to enjoy it the best you can given what you have. Use volumizing products and do whatever you have to do to enjoy the hair that you have while you're waiting for this to finish. I promise you'll feel so much better about it. I also made sure that I was getting enough vitamin C just for general immune support. Like I said, because I work shift work, I always feel like I'm always trying to battle some little cold or something. And just working shift work in general and having those few days a month where I don't probably get quite enough sleep, I knew that that was going to be working against me in terms of my general health and my stress levels and things like that. I also made sure to get enough protein in the day, which isn't really a struggle for me anyway, because I go to the gym, I lift weights. Fitness has always been a huge part of my life, so I'm always getting adequate protein for the most part. I try to get between 100 and 130 grams of protein every single day. My sweet spot is about 115, 120 grams of protein per day, but I know that there are some days that I'm probably a little bit deficient, just depending on the day and how prudent I was on making sure that I was getting that in. But throughout this time, I really made sure every single day without fail, I was getting those 120 grams of protein in per day, because of course your hair, skin, and nails are made of proteins. And if you are not getting enough protein, your body is really smart. Your body is going to use the protein that you are getting in to support your other structures and your other organs. And it's going to put the health and the appearance of your hair, and it's going to put that on the side, and it's not going to give as much attention to your hair. So to make sure that you are growing your hair the best that you can, you definitely want to be getting in enough protein. So that's something that I know from my past. I've actually done a bodybuilding competition in the past, and I know that my hair was so strong and so healthy when I was training for those competitions and when I was in my peak stages of like gaining muscle because I was getting in such good high quality amino acids every single day and lots of them. So I just know from the past that it's very, very helpful to consume enough protein. So make sure that you are. If you're not sure how much protein you should be consuming, you can calculate this online. There's a lot of different online calculators to tell you how much protein you should be getting in during the day. And that's really about it when it came to nutrition. Essentially, I just tried to make sure I was coming at it from all sides. I tried to make sure I was getting adequate antioxidants. I tried to make sure I was eating lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. I did a little bit of juicing. I just really tried to make sure my nutrition was on point. I already, as it is, don't eat a lot of processed foods. I don't drink sugar. Like I don't drink soda. I don't drink pop. I don't drink juice unless it was something I made at home with my juicer. So super, super nutrient, fresh enzyme, antioxidant rich juice. That's the only kind of juice I ever drink. I don't consume aspartame. What else? I don't drink alcohol very often, maybe like 1 glass of wine every couple months with a meal, but I don't ever binge drink or drink like more than 1 or 2 glasses max of wine. I don't smoke, I exercise regularly, and I try to get enough sleep. So that's just a little bit of background, but essentially just supporting my health from all sides. The next thing I did was try to reduce my stress and get enough sleep. So this is easier said than done in most of our lives, especially if you don't have really good stress management techniques, which I will be the first to say I maybe don't. I have a pretty stressful life, or I've had a pretty stressful life for the last few years, especially since I went back to nursing school. And then shortly after graduating from nursing school with my degree, the pandemic hit. And the whole while I was a single mother working myself through university, looking after my daughter, who was at the time very stubborn and really, yeah, it was difficult. We'll just put it that way. I'm not going to get too much into stress management in this video because that's a whole other topic. I could spend hours talking about the ways that I try to reduce my stress. But in general, I made myself cognizant of the fact that extra stress right now is not helping. I also tried to reduce the number of night shifts I was working because, like I said, I'm a nurse. I do work night shifts, and night shifts are very, very hard on my body. I think some people deal better with night shifts than other people, and I just do not cope well with night shifts. They always make me feel sick. They affect my mental health in a really negative manner. I get heart palpitations. If I'm fighting off any kind of an illness of any kind, if I'm fighting off a cold, night shifts will always kind of push me over the edge and I will get sick. So I always feel like I'm kind of battling something because of work, because my work is stressful. I don't often get all my breaks. I often have to work overtime. I work shift work. I work night shifts. So I just kind of tried to prioritize making sure I got enough sleep, really, really trying hard to nap when I could and get in those extra couple of hours of sleep here and there. You know, on a day when I would typically say, oh, you know, I'm okay waking up at noon today. I'll just sleep 4 hours after my night shift. That'll be okay. I didn't do that. I made sure that I let myself sleep in until, 2 or 3 in the afternoon. I made sure that I was prioritizing getting those 7-8 hours of sleep after my night shift. Just things like that. And I just really tried to reduce my stress. I tried to put less pressure on myself. I'm very much a go-getter. I'm very much a type A personality. I'm always making to-do lists for myself, and I often have like 10 or 15 things on my to-do list in the day. Get groceries, go to the gym, make a YouTube video, do XYZ thing, clean out the pantry, take my daughter to volleyball, pay for my daughter's volleyball, like all these. There was a lot of stress. There was a lot of stress going on around Christmas time as well, not just COVID, but like in general, life was kind of stressful. So I really just tried to look at this and be like, okay, I need to just take a breather and put less pressure on myself and just focus on my health. And I think it was actually good, this Telogen Effluvium in a sense was almost like a wake-up call because things were very stressful around that time. And I just kind of realized it's not worth it to put your health and your mental well-being at risk. And I just kind of took a step back. And so really in about March, April was really when I started taking a step back and just giving myself more time and having more grace with myself and not putting so much pressure on myself. So yeah, just in general, trying to get enough sleep and reduce stress in whatever way you can. And one of the last tips that I have is avoiding haircuts. I avoided haircuts. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, keep up with your haircuts, go and get your trims because, you want to support the health of the hair that you have and you want to get rid of split ends. However, you guys, I don't know what it is about hairdressers And some are better than others, but for some reason, every time I go in and I tell them I want a micro trim, just a tiny little trim, like a centimeter, like just my split ends, for some reason I walk out with like 2 inches less of hair, and it's so frustrating. And I actually, during December, shortly before getting COVID, had a bad experience where I went in for a haircut and she cut it. I didn't like the way that she trimmed it, and she also cut off way too much, like way more than I wanted her to. So I just decided I was not going to get my hair cut until I knew my hair was growing back full force, until this telogen effluvium was over, because I couldn't handle the mental trauma of already having thinning hair and losing hair. But then on top of that, if I went for a haircut and she cut too much off, that would just be too much. It would push me over the edge. So I just decided I wasn't going to get any haircuts. I was going to support my ends. I was going to use lots of nice oils on my ends and do everything I could to support the growth of my hair and just let it grow. And you know, that was really, really helpful, because over the last couple of months, you guys, like since the telogen effluvium started up until now, my hair has grown a good 1.5 inches. So it's longer now, and I actually like my hair better now than I did 2 months ago. Even though I can tell that the ends are a little thinner, it's growing in at my scalp. Like I can feel that I've got nice thick hair growing in at my scalp. I can feel that I've got regrowth coming in, which is really nice. Like when I run my fingers over my scalp, I can tell that I've got regrowth, and it feels really nice. Even my ponytail, the base of my ponytail is feeling like it's starting to get a little thicker again. And it hasn't even been that long. So obviously whatever I'm doing is helping. But it was really, really nice to see after a couple months, instead of focusing on how much hair I was losing, I was focusing on how much it was growing. I was trying to focus on the length. So I would recommend don't get haircuts. Don't put in extensions, don't get haircuts. Just focus on what you have, like I said, and let it grow, and enjoy the length and the process, and enjoy the fact that it's growing. So that makes me really happy, because my hair, I'm not one of those people who grows hair super fast. You know how there's people out there who can get a trim every couple months and they still grow like a foot of hair every year, it seems like? I'm not one of those people. I'm not blessed in that area. So my hair seems to take forever to grow. It grows on the slower side of things. So I just decided that while I was waiting for this telogen effluvium to be over, I was not going to visit the hairdresser, and that was really, really helpful for me, I think. So yeah, I actually like my hair better now than I did 2 months ago, just because it's longer and it's probably healthier. Like the hair that I have is probably healthier now than it was 2 months ago. All right, and the last tip that I have is a hair supplement. So like I said, and I do want to reiterate, because I don't want people to have false senses of hope or whatever with supplements, there is no supplement you can take that is going to stop or slow down a TE. If the hair has been pushed to the resting phase, it's going to fall out. There's nothing you can do about it. Once it's in that resting phase, it's going to come out. That's its destiny. But what you can do is support the health of the hair that is growing and that is going to replace it in that follicle. That follicle is not dead. That follicle is going to grow another hair, which is the wonderful thing about TE. By the way, I know some people might recommend minoxidil or Rogaine. I have used that in the past. I actually had an allergic reaction to it. And I didn't want to use minoxidil or Rogaine for a couple of reasons. Number one is that minoxidil is temporary. It will help you to grow hair while you're using it, but if you stop using minoxidil or Rogaine, that hair will eventually thin back out to its normal thinness that it was. Also, it's not particularly efficacious for telogen effluvium because it's not fixing the root cause or the problem that started the telogen effluvium. It's not like you're just having receding hairline or age-related hair loss. You've lost it because of a stressful event. So for me, it just didn't seem to fit. Also, because with the minoxidil or Rogaine, there's also a temporary period of increased shedding that can happen for the first couple of weeks. And I thought, dear God, no, I'm already going through shedding. I cannot handle another shed because of a medication. So there was a couple of different reasons I didn't want to use minoxidil or Rogaine. I also just, like I said, I like the idea of supporting what I have. I like the idea of focusing on the quality and the health of my natural hair and scalp. I don't want some sort of false sense of security. And I also didn't want to be growing hair back and then be wondering, well, is this like, would this have happened anyway, or is this because of the minoxidil? I kind of just wanted to just eat healthy and support my health and longevity and well-being and see the potential to which I could just grow it on my own. So yeah, I'm kind of a naturalist in that way. I don't really want extensions and I don't want minoxidil. I just want a healthy head of hair, natural, healthy head of hair. So this brings me to the supplement that I did take that was specifically geared toward hair loss and hair thinning and hair growth, and this is Viviscal. I know there's a lot of other ones out there like Nutrafol. People have recommended Nutrafol to me. The reason I went with Viviscal is because A, it was local. I could get it in my local drugstore. It was pretty easy for me to get. And B, because I've used it before with good success. So Viviscal has a lot of different ingredients in it. I think that there's vitamin E. I believe that there's biotin. I believe that there's shark cartilage, iron, millet, I think. Like there's a couple of other items in there that are supposed to be really good. I think there's like horse's tail or something like that. I will put a picture of it on the screen, or else I'll take a video because I actually have the empty box. And I used the entire thing of Viviscal because in the past I have had good results with Viviscal. Not that it stopped my TE, not that it prevented the hair loss, but because the hair that grew back was thick and strong. And again, I don't know if that would have happened anyway, but it's just been my history, my experience that when I did use Viviscal, I did end up having a nice full thick head of hair in the end. After waiting a few months for those hairs to come back, my hair was like better than ever. So I just thought, you know what, it can't hurt. It's not going to put me into like overdose category of anything. It's not going to push me over the edge in terms of like toxicity of any vitamins or minerals. It probably cannot hurt. And like I said, I just wanted to feel mentally like I was doing everything I could in my power to support healthy, thick hair. So I did use the entire packet of Viviscal. I think I started using it at the beginning of maybe the middle of March, and I finished it toward the middle of April. I didn't skip a single day. There was exactly a 30-day supply in there, and I used the entire packet. And I've actually been thinking I might go back and get another one just because I know that it does make, I think it does make my hair healthier and thicker. Again, it could be all placebo effect. Apparently there's really good studies. The Viviscal even comes with a shampoo and conditioner that's supposed to help. It's like a thickening shampoo and conditioner. I didn't go that route because I didn't feel it was necessary. But I really do like the Viviscal supplements, and it just makes me feel like, if nothing else, it makes me feel mentally and emotionally like I'm on the right track. And that can be just as important as anything when you're dealing with hair loss. So you guys, that is it. That is really my latest experience with the Telogen Effluvium and the things that I did to kind of combat it, get through it, come out on the other side. And so as it sits now, my hair definitely, especially toward the ends, is definitely thinner than it was a few months ago, but I'm kind of gotten used to it at this point. It's not bothering me at all. I don't feel like petrified every time I look in the mirror, like, oh my gosh, my hair's so thin. Whereas when I was shedding, I was definitely noticing pretty quickly that it was thinning out pretty quickly. That was really traumatic, but at this point in time, like I say, I've kind of gotten used to it. And now I'm able to actually just focus on the fact that it's growing long, it's growing healthy. My scalp feels really good. My hair is nice and shiny and soft. And it's longer now than it was 2 months ago, which, like I said, thanks to not going to the salon to get a trim in the meantime. Yeah, and I can tell that I've got lots of baby hairs, lots of regrowth. And you know, that's another thing that I would tell you is look for that regrowth. The best way to do it is after you've shampooed and conditioned your hair and it's dried, whether you blow dried it at a low heat setting, of course, with a heat protectant, go through and part your hair in different sections on your head and kind of just like hold down those sections of hair, hold them down and look at that part and look for little baby hairs sticking up. You're going to be able to tell that they're baby hairs because they're going to be very fine and very soft, and they're also going to have a tapered edge. They're not going to be broken off hairs from brushing. They're going to be actually like tapered new baby hairs, and they're all going to be fairly short and all about the same length. That's how you can tell they're baby hairs. And I will try to insert some photos, you guys, to show you like parts of my hair where it was pretty thin, but also I had baby hairs poking through. I've got them all on my phone, so I'll put them all on the screen for you. But seeing that baby hair coming through and seeing that regrowth is extremely motivating and makes you feel so happy and so good. It's amazing how our minds work. Just having something positive to focus on while you're going through something traumatic is really, really helpful. So that's pretty much it for today's video, you guys. I hope that these tips and this information and just hearing about somebody else's experience going through a TE was helpful for you. Like I said, I've been through it 3 times now, and I'm sure that it'll happen again. You just can't help it. Things happen in life. We start and stop certain medications, and we go through certain life phases. And if you get sick, you can't help getting sick. And if you need surgery, you can't really help needing surgery. So we all go through TE at different times of our life and to different degrees. That's the other thing, is that with a TE, you might lose 30% of your hair, you might lose 50% of your hair, you might lose 70% of your hair. Everybody's experience is different. It depends on so many multifactorial things, like what was your baseline nutrition? What was the severity of the thing that you went through? You know, was it like an ICU stay at the hospital, or did you just get a fever? Like I would assume that somebody who was really, really ill and like had organ failure and was in the ICU is going to probably experience a worse hair loss than somebody who simply had a fever. I don't know for sure. I don't know all the details, but so it's going to be different for everybody. And so, yeah, that's honestly probably the scariest part about going through a TE, is wondering like, when will this stop and how much will I lose? Honestly, that's probably the scariest thing, because you know that you have a potential to lose up to 70% of your hair. And that's a lot. For me, I think I probably lost about, I would say 40 to 50. Like, I lost a pretty good chunk of my hair, you guys. So yeah, anyway, that's it for today's video, you guys. I hope that you found this helpful. And if you have gone through this yourself and you have any tips or advice or anything that you want to leave down below, please leave it down below. Feel free to head over and follow me on Instagram if you want. I always share, when things like this happen, what I'm going through. I also recently started using tretinoin, and I'm going to be documenting that and sharing with you guys the skincare that has really helped me going through my tretinoin experience. And that is it for today. And I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.